I've discovered that my favorite videos to make are like vlog style videos just because editing clips from my iPhone is much simpler and easier than dealing with my big camera. So I'm gonna try to do a vlog style highly requested video. I'm gonna go over how I took notes in high school. So I'll probably do a separate video on how I studied in high school just because I had different study methods for each class, but at least this way you'll get to see how I took the notes that I would often study from. I wasn't a huge fan of handwritten notes. The only time I would do handwritten notes was if there was any math involved, so like physics, chemistry, calculus, all the math courses, those were all handwritten notes. But all history courses, biology, everything, economics, everything like that was typed. For me, typed notes were a lot easier because I could just go back and study from them later, and if my friends needed copies of them to study from, if they like missed a chapter or something, I could just print one out and give it to them.
So what I'm going to do is just take you guys through a bunch of different styles of notes that I wrote in high school. We're going to see history notes, economics notes, science notes, math notes, social sciences notes, all different styles. These are notes from AP Biology. As you can see, I made sure to use a lot of colors. Right here, I have the main idea of a section and the location of it in the textbook in case I needed to go back and reference that. I have the important terms and things I needed to know in different colors so I can easily recognize them, and I even included an image because I am very much a visual learner. And yeah, so I split biology notes into main sections and general notes from that, and key terms. And here's just another example from AP Biology on speciation and extinction. Pretty much the same pattern, different colors to separate things. That's something that's really good, again, for organization and helping your mind differentiate between different topics. And, you know, if you're the type of person who can recall information from, like, kind of snapshots in your head, it helps for that, too, because it almost makes the words into a picture, which is really cool. But yeah, so main ideas, important things are bolded. And, you know, notes don't always have to be formal. Sometimes I'd put little notes or reactions to the information in my notes. Another thing I did that I found really helpful is at the end of major sections, I would sometimes summarize my notes. That way I could easily go back, especially at the end of the year when maybe I'm trying to cram and don't have time to read through every single word on my notes. Major ideas. Yeah, that's some really helpful stuff. So just general information from all of my notes from several chapters put into a page and a half of words. Yeah. These notes are from AP European History. I took that when I was a sophomore, and it was my first major history course. So these notes, honestly, I'm not that much of a fan of. Like, I feel like I kind of wrote too much for these. These are high-key giving me awful flashbacks. Like, all of this, everything you see here, all of part 1 in key terms, and these are questions from the back of the textbook and all that stuff. Yeah, I would do that all in one night. It would take me about 5 hours a night. It was the worst thing ever. But yeah, for history, what I would do is I would highlight the sections. I would make note of when this historical stuff was going on. In this case, it was the 18th century. But this is more of a just like to show you guys what decent notes look like. Okay, so all of that, those were just notes on like a few sections. These were like the questions and the answers, I think, to the questions in the back of the textbook for that section earlier. My AP European history notes were separated into textbook notes and then key terms important people, and overlying themes. Alright, so moving on to United States history. So I took this a year after I took Euro, so I think I was able to take slightly more concise notes, but it's still kind of the same pattern. We have key points from the text, important events, and notable people. I put these all in one document because I didn't know how to screen record by not doing that. Oh, also, I found it really helpful to do different fonts or styles for each class. It made it easier for my brain to adjust from one subject to another. Alright, so moving on to economics. These are some notes on monopolistic competition, again using colors, different colors for different subjects just to like change it up a little bit, adding images from the textbook directly. You can Google them and they'll come up. The textbook I took notes from was Mancu's Principles of Economics, I believe, or something like that. Using italics, using bold, making sure everything is concise. This is Dream Team because my microeconomics class was split into 2 teams, and we would basically compete to see which team has the highest average test score every time we took a test, and the loser had to bring in the winter food. My team had the highest record out of all 4 teams. No big deal. We were the superior team. And I think it's because I would print out all of my notes at the end of each chapter and give them to my team for them to study from. Yeah. I think this is kind of like a bit wrong. Okay. The cost of production. I have equations in here. More images. Emojis sometimes, I guess. Or emoticons. And again, key terms. Key terms are something very important, I think, to include in notes. Sometimes, most of the times actually, textbooks will list them at the end of a chapter. But even if they don't, I'm sure you could ask your teacher for some of the most important terms, or you can just kind of figure it out by the titles of the sections within the chapter, or just what comes up the most. And for microeconomics and most other classes, these are all notes that I would take at home, not in class. This is from the textbook. In class, if we did PowerPoints or other activities, I would take a few less detailed handwritten notes than to just reinforce that information. Oh yeah, and another table that kind of sums things up. Moving on to math. I didn't type all of my notes though. Any class that involved a lot of math, like calculus, chemistry, physics, etc., I would always do handwritten notes. Why? Because with math comes mistakes. Also, do you know how much of a force it would have been to type all of those Greek letters and funky equations? Yeah, so these are my calculus notes. I would always start up with an objective and basic definitions, and making sure to separate each section with a title, and basic concepts at the beginning, and then a bunch of different subsections of the topic with examples underneath. Full examples, fully explained, no skipping steps. Most of these are from the textbook. My teacher would write them on the board and put up great stuff for us to take notes directly from. So yes, with calculus, it was very important to have visuals also accompanied if visuals were applicable to the subject, like they were here. I'm just showing you guys calculus right now. If you want to see other courses that I used handwritten notes for, like AP Chem, just subscribe and you will see those soon. I'm going to have How to Get a 5 on AP Chem uploaded to my channel within the next few days, so yay! Then for classes that were a little less rigorous and were mainly just memorization, I would go straight from the textbook to Quizlet. I loved using Quizlet in high school just because it was so easy to study from. I just took out the app whenever I was bored in class or anything if I had a test coming up, and just got in a few games or these little tests or whatever. It can be actually pretty fun sometimes. But yeah, Honestly, one of the best things I started doing while taking notes in high school was just taking away the middleman and literally making my notes into study guides to use later. I guess that's the biggest tip I can give. Whether it was by writing up neatly typed notes, making sure to have a bunch of complete examples for math, or moving the information straight from the textbook to Quizlet, it honestly saved me so much time and made it so much easier for me to study. I think the whole point of taking really concise notes is yes, to take in the information while you're learning it. If you can take in the information in good notes the first time, that will save you so much time later. But also, if you make your notes clear and reproducible and easily accessible, that will just make it that much easier for you to go back and study from them later. Okay, because notes shouldn't just be something that you do one night. You should be able to go back and reference them later on so you don't forget that information. Okay, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any other questions related to note-taking or close reading or anything like that, just let me know and I'll try to get to them. Alright, bye!